Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch and welcome back to my studio. Today we are going to paint a Christmas wreath, but not just a wreath, but a special gift to someone who likes music. And you could use the same idea and the same principle to paint another very personal gift for a person who, for example, likes flowers or gardening or painting. So let's just start. I draw a circle to help me arrange the wreath, and now I'm drawing the treble clef also for the future help. As you know, I'm not a big fan of drawing in details, so I just arrange few note symbols that will help me just to keep my focus on the key elements. And I think I will just lighten up a little bit the drawings, and I would like to move a little bit the note sign so it will feel more balanced. For the red colors I use Winsor red. You could use any red you like, and with the tip of the brush, with the brush number 7, I think all brushes within the range from 4 to 7 will work in this case. So just with the tip of the brush I paint treble clef. I like to paint with a little bit spontaneous lines, not just with one single line, but that's a little bit of style. So you could follow your hand in this case. I want to paint my wreath in very spontaneous manner, so I do some adjustments for the treble clef, and I use only Winsor red. And now I will use perylene green. It's this dusty grayish green. I will use it for the greenery. Now I paint holly berries leaves. It's very convenient to paint them just with the body of the brush. First you paint the wavy line. With the tip of your brush you could correct the shapes, and then you fill in what's inside the leaf. I have very diluted mix of perylene green. If you do not have perylene green, you could mix, for example, phthalo green and a bit of burnt sienna and neutral tint. Or, for example, phthalo green, ultramarine blue and neutral tint. You could make some experiments with your palette, with what you have. While my paper is still wet, I add just a little bit of olive green and some darker accents. You see how helpful it was to set up the circle and also set up the key elements. So now I'm not risking that my wreath will suddenly become an oval or square or any weird thing. Now I add eucalyptus branches in very loose manner. Just with the tip of the brush I would say I just map out eucalyptus leaves, and I use very bold perylene green on the tip of my brush to add these super dark accents. I switch to a smaller brush number 4, and And I use olive green, slightly warmer than perlin green. And I paint another eucalyptus branch. Now I will paint a note. I'm not a musician, so you probably could, if you are a musician, you probably could even put around some music, some chords, which you know. For me, I just painted a nice looking arrangement. Last year I was painting Christmas fruits and Christmas wreath, so I like this tradition to paint some new Christmas wreath for each Christmas. How many? Let's count how many times I will say Christmas in this tutorial. In the meantime, I'm already painting a rose. I use very dirty but very diluted colors from my palette to create white rose, and to make it contrast, to make it really looks white, I surround it with very, very bold green leaves and red accents. And you could notice when it was just a grayish rose on white paper, it looked a little bit maybe dirty. And now with nice amount of contrast with greenery and red, it's clearly a white rose. And I have a nice tutorial about how to mix and how to paint with white watercolors, or let's say how to mix beautiful white mixes. So you are very welcome to check that out. Now what I'm doing, I'm spontaneously arranging elements, different greenery elements along the curve. If you don't know which elements to set up on the wreath, you could check my video about 10 Christmas cards, and actually library of 10 very popular Christmas elements which you could use for Christmas cards, for wreaths, and they all painted in this loose, spontaneous, very easy manner. And I think that's a huge help when you sometimes it happens that you're out of ideas, right? So now I adding holly berries leaves, wavy line with the tip of the brush, again outlines. Then I water my brush, dry it with a paper towel, and soften the edges. I distribute these paints from outlines into the middle, and I allow all my watercolors mix. You probably see how much I'm juggling with two brushes. I would recommend you to try this out, because usually one brush I have loaded with paints, and the other brush is just for watering, for lifting up colors, for softening the edges, for many different things. Now comes another rose. I paint it just with very soft C strokes. Sometimes I add a little bit more pressure on the tip of the brush, and sometimes I just distribute water what I have. So it's basically water with some paints in it. But once I add very contrast, very dark greenery around, and I paint leaves with the body of my brush. I start with the tip, apply a little bit of pressure, and this is how we paint very easy rose greenery. Now I'm approaching another note sign, and I surrounded with eucalyptus leaves. For eucalyptus leaves, I use this dusty yellowish green color, which you could create or either add sienna to perlin green, or mix burnt sienna with dull green with a little bit more of burnt sienna in it. Some details. Now let's gain our red accent. I purposefully use very bright and very clear red color, actually right from the palette without any mixes, because the greenery is rather dusty, shady, grayish, and that's again creates nice contrast with clear red color and dusty green. So with the tip of the brush, I again outline hollyberry leaves. It's nice to add with the tip of the brush of these sharp edges, and try to avoid creating puddles and distribute water within the leaf. Your drawing, the circle drawing which we made in the very beginning, will help you to focus, but let's say imagine that your main stem is this circle, and you put all the greenery, all these green leaves, flowers around, so they could be inside, outside the wreath, a little bit more, a little bit less. But keep in mind this main direction of let's say stem of this circle basement, and play around this circle. With a dry brush, clean and dry brush, I could remove the exceed watercolor, because if we leave it like this as a puddle, when it dries it creates some spider webs and uneven texture, which maybe will be a little bit too much for our spontaneous painting, because it's pretty loose already. Some tips, sharp edges, and you could always correct with the tip of the brush, you could always correct, add some details into the leaf. So I checking out the movement of the wreath, and let me think what could be nice here. I will paint another rose. I use some very diluted pinkish grayish water, and I leave a lot of white areas between so-called petals. And you probably already know what to paint next is to paint very dark and green leaves. Let me think. What? Yeah. So it's always nice to add some variety. That's why I'm taking this little bit yellowish version of green instead of my perlin green. And of course hollyberry, it's always always welcome to paint a lot of berries. And painting berries, I forgot, sorry. So let's paint another holly berry leaf. Soften everything, soften and try to distribute the puddle, and some sharp accents on the edges. Not so much, not too much, just enough. And with dry brush I remove exceed water. I'm pretty sure if you even follow step by step my tutorial, your wreath will look absolutely different, and my purpose is to inspire you to try out different things and see how to create something nice out of pretty messy thing. Just following some key steps. So I add in a little bit of different types of leaves, but same principle, some outline, and then soften the edges and distribute paints inside the leaf. And a little bit more, and a little bit more. I start with the tip of the brush, then I apply pressure into the leaf, then I a bit correct everything, and with the tip of the brush I finish the leaf. I set it on a stem, on a branch. Now it was a small mistake, so my watercolor went very much into the leaf, too much bleed, so better to wait. It's better to wait. I correct this one just with a darker color. And I just leave it to dry for now, and then correct everything. So let's arrange a little bit more. It's same principle, and I like to add some berries again. It's just small circles, and when you paint berries, always leave a small little dot of white paper, because berries, these are spheres with very glossy surface, and this white spot shows the lightest area on the surface. It's very, very important. If that's too complicated to move your wrist, you could just turn the paper, but right now I would like to show you how to paint everything without turning the paper, because maybe some of you painting and using forgot the word, so you can't move the paper, and it doesn't matter, you could practice moving your wrist. Now comes the fun part, adding details like fir tree needles with the tip of the brush, and very, very quick moves. Don't overthink it. Once you start to overthink it, it will look like a fence. So once you just move your hand spontaneously and paint needles in the right directions. Some of them could be thicker, thinner, doesn't matter. Embrace the mess. For these types of painting, synthetic brush is very good decision, and the tip of the brush should be very sharp, because once the tip of the brush is getting fluffy, it's probably would be something different than Christmas tree and something than these fine lines. Yeah, I think I better turn the paper not to spoil what things on the bottom, and I just keep adding these needles around. Sometimes they're intersecting, sometimes they a little bit thicker, thinner. And sometimes they overlapped with leaves, so no need to paint all the branch on the top. Just allow your hand moves spontaneously. I like what's happening in here. Let's see. Yes, a few details around. The secret to paint these types of trees, fir tree branches, is to move your hand very quick, very quick, and a little bit different. Always try to paint a little bit different. Once you feel that you are getting bored, this is the sign either to change colors or to change pressure on the brush or to change direction, so to changing something. Almost there. Some little details. It's always nice to step aside and have a look from the top or from your camera. I don't know why, but once you take a picture of your painting and have a look through the camera, it looks so different. All mistakes or all good parts, great parts could be much more noticeable. So let's arrange. Final things. Yeah, so I would like to add more dark green underneath, so to make the clef be more visible. Now it's a little bit lost with all this greenery around, so to make it pops up, the easiest way is to add dark contrast with some random, let's say, eucalyptus leaves. Yeah. One thing I added after I noticed that my camera is switched off, with just tip of my brush, I made an outline for this note. So now it looks like it was planned to be here and planned with all these pleats. We could go a little bit around the wreath, adding red berries. Just checking out where could be nice to add them. Always leave white spot. Always leave white spot and keep fill in them some areas. And let's have a look. A very nice fluffy wreath with a lot of different greenery on it, with a lot of different brush strokes and contrast, nice contrast between dusty green and very shiny red. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you have this beautiful Christmas mood. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please let me know in comments what you would like to paint next. I read each and every one of your comments and I'm so grateful you are here. See you next time. Bye bye.